I'll never forget the first time I used Tinder. It was 2019 during winter break when everyone was back home from college. I figured since I didn't have a girlfriend and didn't have much going on, why not try the app that everyone was talking about? It was like 8 or 9 p.m. on a Thursday night, which was peak hours in terms of activity for the app. I downloaded the app onto my phone, and it was time to set up my profile. I spent a good 10 minutes browsing through my photo album for flattering photos of myself that I thought would catch people's attention. I wasn't really experienced with the whole witty, funny Tinder bio thing that guys are apparently supposed to do. So I just wrote a few things about myself, like that I was 6 feet tall, played hockey at Penn State, and loved to work out. I swiped right for pretty much everyone just to see how many people would swipe me back. I got through the given 100 likes quicker than I even expected, and didn't get a single match. My self-esteem was now completely in the toilet. I always thought of myself as really good looking, so I didn't understand how nobody could have liked me back. After waiting forever for some kind of notification to come up on my screen, I was considering just deleting the app to save my self-esteem. But finally, a single vibration from my phone along with the message, "Congratulations, you have a new match," popped up on my phone. Overly excited, I went back into the app and saw that I had matched with the most gorgeous girl I'd seen on the app. She had 4 photos as well, one in a bikini with a friend, one with 2 girls kissing her on either cheek, one with her leaning on a brick wall, and one that appeared to be taken at a college frat party. She was 20 years old, just like me, and she went to Syracuse University. I messaged her just a plain old "hey" with a smiley face. 10 seconds later, she responded, "Hey cutie." I took a minute to think of something smart to say. Eventually, I wrote something about her sorority, and that I had a friend in the same sorority at my school, or something like that. She responded really quickly again, this time saying, "OMG, that's so cool," and then a smiley face. I was typing my response when she sent another message saying, "You're so cute and so close. What are you doing tonight?" At this point, I was excited. I thought this app was easier than I thought it would be. I responded quickly saying, "Just watching out. You know, pretty exciting stuff." She replied back saying, "OMG, no way, me too. You should come over and we can watch it together." And then a winky face. I told her I was down and asked for her number. She gave it to me quickly and I waited a minute before texting her, just so I wouldn't seem desperate. When I texted her, the message was sent as a text message indicating that person wasn't using the iMessage app. I said, "Hey." Once again, she replied, "Hey, come now," and then pasted in an address. The address was 5 miles away from my house, or 10 minutes, which wasn't bad at all. I told her I'm on my way. Before leaving, I told my mom I was going out and left. The address was on the quieter side of town, not necessarily a nice kind of quiet. I pulled up to the house. It had a decent location, privacy-wise. Across the street were one of those huge pieces of land surrounded by trees that was dug out deep to collect water during rainfall. And the neighboring houses were kind of spaced out. A red flag went off in my head, and when I noticed 2 cars in the driveway, I texted her saying I was there, and she replied, "KK, going around back, the front door is loud." I replied, "Are your parents home or something?" But she didn't answer this time. I got out of the car and slowly walked around the house, noticing there was no fence to separate the front yard from the backyard. There was a window on the side of the house, and as I passed it, I realized there was an opening in the blinds. Someone was holding it up, but as soon as I noticed the blinds fell back into place, I texted her again saying, "Was that you at the window?" No response. This was a little creepy now. I continued walking slowly to the backyard, thinking that I could hear sounds coming from back there. For example, the brief sound of the yard chair scraping against the concrete. I became so nervous to turn that corner into the backyard that I froze at the edge of the brick wall, and just ever so gradually poked my head around the corner to see if anyone was in the backyard. As far as I could tell, nobody was back there, so I walked to the back door. It was a really old sliding glass door, so I could partially see into the house. Another thing I realized just then that raised more red flags, not a single light was on in the house. You know what I told myself? I texted her one more time, and if she didn't respond, I was out of there. I took out my phone and texted her saying, "I'm at the back door, where are you?" She responded within 10 seconds saying, "Come in." I wasn't comfortable entering that house, so I decided to call her for the first time, but after entering the number, the screen said "Text now, audio call." Text Now is one of those iPhone apps that allow you to use a fake phone number for calls and texts. That meant this whole time, whoever this was using a fake phone number. However, the most disturbing part of this was when I heard the sound of a ringtone coming from right behind the glass door, as if somebody were leaning against the wall hiding. And now, as I looked more closely into the house, I could see the glow from a phone screen right next to the door, which confirmed that somebody was hiding there. I didn't run. I tried to draw as little attention as possible by simply walking back around the house in the opposite direction I came from to avoid being seen through the door. When I was out of possible view, I ran full speed to my car and drove home. I didn't check my text until I got back home. I had 15 new messages awaiting for me. About 12 of them asking, "Where do you go? Why did you leave? Come back," and so on. The last 3 were more disturbing though. The first of the last 3 messages said, "I'm not actually a 20-year-old girl, but I'm sure you figured that out by now." The next one was, "No laws were broken, LOL, good luck." And the last one was, "I know exactly what you look like and I have your number." I blocked the fake number and went to report and unmatch him on Tinder, but she had already done that. The whole thing was something straight out of a nightmare, but luckily I never got any calls or texts from anyone suspicious, and I was able to forget about it quickly. Story 2. I've used dating apps a few times since then, but just for fun. I've never actually made an effort to go out and meet anyone from the app ever again. I've been single most of my life. Have I met some weird people? Yes, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened in February of 2018, end of winter, the time of year that these apps are perhaps most useful if you're just looking for casual fun when you can have fun outside. I was using the app I do, and at any given moment, I would be messaging at least 5 different girls, only because I know 9 out of 10 conversations would end up dying. One conversation kept going strong. However, the girl's name was Maria. Every time I'd hear that triple no dang and notification saying, "Maria sends you a new message," and actually get a little excited. I asked if she was down to hang out tonight. She wrote back, "Yeah." He asked for my address. I gave it to her without hesitation. She said she'd be right back. I said, "Wait, give me your number so we could text," but she didn't respond. After a few minutes, it said she was offline. The app did that when someone was inactive for a few minutes, so I figured be back soon, and I patiently waited while going back to watching TV. I kept routinely checking the app to see if she came back online, but she stayed offline. An hour passed, and now it was getting a bit late for her to even come over. Plus, I was getting kind of tired, so the idea was kind of shot. I went to bed. The next morning, I woke up early. It was raining outside, and it was still a little dark. I checked the clock, and it was 6:30 in the morning. I was grateful it wasn't like 11, and I could get back to sleep. I did, however, pick up my phone to check for any new text and junk. I saw a few notifications from Badu. Actually, Maria had messaged me a few times. I opened the app as I rubbed my eyes. She said, "Hey, I'm coming now," at like 3 a.m. Then like 3:20 a.m. and said, "I'm here," at 4 a.m. and said, "I'm watching you." I noticed it said she was online too, and then the triple tone sound beat, meaning I got a new message from her. It said, "How did you sleep?" My heart started to race, and I felt that feeling of unease in my chest and in my head. I right away looked out the window to see if anyone was hiding in the bushes outside that I shut the blinds. I typed back, "Who the hell is this?" 10 seconds later, I got the disturbing message, "Check your closet and find out." I looked across my room to the closet door that I know it was closed last night. The closet door that was now cracked open. I was so shook I almost couldn't breathe. That the door pushed open ever so slowly, revealing the dark inside of the closet. I started screaming for my dad. I had to run past the closet to leave my room. And as I got to my dad's room to find the bed empty, I had completely forgotten he wasn't home for the weekend. My older brother was home though, and he came rushing to see what the commotion was, from which I told him to check the closet with me. When we checked the closet, there wasn't a single trace of anyone having been in there. Then there was a cold breeze. I realized my stupid self didn't lock my window. The night before, things made a little more sense now. I went to the police station to show the message on the app in hopes they could track the person, but apparently it wasn't that easy. I would need court orders and such an order. I refrained from doing anything. However, luckily after a long week of sleeping in fear, nothing happened. I was able to move on with my life. Story 3. When I had just finished college, I was living in a one-bedroom townhouse/split. I met a guy on a dating app, and at the time, I wasn't exactly smart about my online digital footprint. It's not like I've really changed, but at least now I'm not as ridiculous as I was. Anyways, he seemed like a really decent guy. He was really good looking. He said he had a good job, nice teeth, and he looked like he really cared about his personal health. Pretty much all the things that I would typically look for in a guy. I'm not a shallow human, but I really like to be presentable. And if I'm with someone, I would like them to care about being presentable in a business environment also. After about a week of chatting online, we agreed to meet. We had met at a restaurant that was downtown, which was really far from where I lived. Right when I got there, I had noticed him standing at the door. We sat down to eat in the evening. We're really great at the end of the day. We sat by, and I got into my car and began to drive away. I realized right away that he was following me. Because of the distance to my house, I wasn't immediately scared, because it's a really big city. Maybe he'll turn off the freeway or something, but he didn't. My exit was coming up and I decided not to take it. I just kept driving. I circled the entire city on the freeway and he stayed right behind me the whole time. I was really starting to panic a bit, so I decided to go out to my friend's house instead of mine. And when I pulled off the exit, I noticed that he did. So I had a little bit of a moment to breathe and just decided, okay, screw it, I'll just go home. I took the off-ramp back onto the freeway and began going back to my exit. I got home and showered and was getting ready for bed. I started feeling really dumb and I started thinking things like, was that really him? Am I overreacting? Maybe I should ask him if he was following me. Pretty much just a number of things raced in my overactive imagination, or so I thought. I decided I was going to message him and just say, hey, I had a good time tonight. Good night. And right when I started typing, all of a sudden, a message came through to my phone. It was a picture of my car right outside my house. I nearly died upon seeing that. My heart jumped out of my chest and I started shaking. I didn't know what to say, and he didn't text me and say, I didn't know you were across the street from me. Now I've met my neighbors before, and not once have I ever met him. There's a huge apartment complex, kitty corner to my townhouse, so maybe that's where I live. I don't know. I popped up and I went to go look outside, and there he was just standing there outside like he was waiting for me. By opening the door, and he asked if he could come in and if I still wanted to hang out. I told him I was really exhausted, as I'd rather just crash out, as it had really been a long day. The very next morning I woke up to go to work and my windshield had been smashed. My car was completely slashed. As I was noticing the damage to my vehicle, the guy comes out of his car with 2 coffees and is like, what would surprise you with the morning coffee? So again, I'm totally freaked out. I called the cops and I reported the damage to my vehicle. The guy offered to drive me, but something in my gut was telling me not to get in his car. So I called my boss and I told him about the situation, and I explained that I wasn't going to be there until after the police came. This guy had just hung out the entire time, by the way. When the police finally got there, this guy was acting really suspicious. He walked away and he started hiding on the other side of his car. I found the report and the police basically just told me that I have insurance rods that were on their way to leave. They pulled around the corner and all I heard was the siren. Then the cop car lights turn on. And then the cops scream, freeze, put your hands in the air and get down on your knees. I turned over and looked, and the cop has his gun drawn on the sky, and the dude's on the ground getting arrested. I spoke with the cop after he got into the back of the car, and he explained that he was restoring probation assault with a deadly weapon, fraud, as well as aggravated assault. I was absolutely sure. It took me a couple of days to get over the hypothetical situation that could have happened to me. About a week later, I was on my way out the door to work, and guess who was sitting right in my driveway? We live in Canada, so essentially you're released on conditions until you go to jail. I told him that I was late for work, but I'd call him when I was done working. I never went to work that day. I went and found a new apartment in another area of the city. I changed my phone number and hired my friend's husband and his friends to go pack my apartment up and move it to their place for about a month, and then move it to my new place because I was just so scared this dude would follow them while moving. So yeah, that's my scary story about the first time I used plenty of fish, and I'm never using it again.